Morning, Jeff. Morning, Ali. Hope you're doing well.
We're in top form, mate. We're in top form. The irony of Ten Hag losing half the dressing room isn't lost on me, Mark. I was up at that game on Saturday night, and I think half the team lost the blinking supporters after that performance, mate. Where did you stand on that?
Well, I think there's this saying, isn't there, that the players don't play for the manager. But I think in United's case, because it's happened with so many managers, we need to change the term to the players aren't playing for the fans. Because
Correct.
this whole we're not playing for the manager, it's just a cop out, isn't it? Let's
Correct.
throw the manager under the bus. But you're not playing for the fans. You're not playing for the fans. And you saw it. I saw it. Most of the country, most of the world saw it. It was a big game, and I couldn't help but be impressed with how good Newcastle were, because Manchester United were so bad. And Ali, in your day, did you get a survey on a Monday morning then to ask you if you were behind the manager? Because what's this 50% rubbish all about? How did they know half the dressing room's behind it, not behind it?
I said it on Saturday night, mate. I ain't buying this at all. Absolute nonsense, not playing for the manager. And I said it on air on Saturday, mate. How about playing for yourself? How about playing for your family and playing for the fans? The 5,000 guys that were sitting up in the freezing cold up in the back of that stand. I've got to say, I agree with you totally. Newcastle, brilliant on Saturday, and have been great all season. I'm really enjoying watching them. But I thought the level of performance in Manchester United was bordering on disgraceful, mate. I really did.
Yeah, I mean, it's look, it was so obvious. I don't like saying it, but it was so obvious that some of those players aren't trying. Because I think Joel Linton and Bruno Guimaraes are very good players, but I don't think they're the two best midfielders in the world.
So, Mark, who's not trying?
Well, I mean,
it's a big claim, not trying.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that team. Look, Harry Maguire's up for Player of the Month, so he's had a good month. Garnacho's had a good month. Luke Shaw's come back from an injury. He always puts in a good performance. Bruno always tries. I mean, I'm probably going to get to 50% of that team, haven't I? I mean, is that the 50% who are not behind the manager? But then there's a lot of players who you've got people like Rafael Varane who's not getting picked. It's baffling what's going on at the club, but that's not. When I watch Newcastle, they've got no divine right to be way better than Manchester United yet. I know they've got the money, but Eddie Howe's done an amazing job bringing in people like Dan Burn and etc. He's not bringing in an Mbappe, but they're miles ahead of Manchester United, and this is Manchester United. I said this last night, a few weeks ago. We buried an absolute legend of this football club, Sir Bobby Charlton, and these players are wearing the shirt he wore and many other great players wore, and they're just not Manchester United players. And I know that's a cliche of what a Manchester United player is, but we all know what it is. We've all seen Manchester United players, and these lads just aren't it.
Do you know what I thought, Mark? To perhaps maybe, I don't know if I'm maybe helping you out here a little bit, when you said a couple of them weren't trying, I certainly thought that Rashford and Martial weren't trying enough. And by that I mean, I don't think they were working hard enough. I maybe wouldn't say they weren't trying, but I'll tell you what, I thought their conservation of work rate was unbelievable for everybody to see. I mean, the one thing, perhaps nearly say Garnacho, he'll run about and he'll look busy and he'll look as though he's trying. I thought the two players I've mentioned, I couldn't believe the lack of effort. They'll tell you they were trying, they might have been trying, but were they trying hard enough? Not for me, I don't think, and not for every one of those travelling fans, mate.
No, and I think that it's always dangerous to individualise it to one or two, because I think we all know there's quite a lot. But I think the way I look at it at the moment is, if you look at the last few months of Solskjaer and Ralph Rangnick and what's happening with Ten Hag, there's a collection of players that will have been at United for that period of a couple of years.
Yep.
And I think it's a toxic element. And toxic's a big word, but toxic can mean weak mentality, actually just not good enough, or toxic in the sense that they can't be bothered. So I think there's a toxic element at Manchester United within that dressing room. And you can sack a manager, and maybe that's where we're heading here. But you sack this manager, you end up with another Mourinho, another Ollie, another Rangnick, who gets sacked again. You've got to root out the players that are clearly the toxic element there. And the club will know more than we do. You've got to get rid of them. But with the Glazers, it's a financial decision, isn't it? And it's easier to sack a manager and paper the cracks for a couple of years again.
Yeah, well, it's so hard, isn't it? It doesn't matter how toxic the mood is. It's so hard to get rid of players who are on long-term contracts, earning big money, who refuse to go.
Yeah, and also, I'm not afraid to say this. My perception of Manchester United over recent years, ever since they got rid of Jose Mourinho, is that the tail's wagging the dog. I experience it on a monthly basis, where you get this I think any United fan would say it feels like certain players run that football club. And we've seen that, Manchester United's reputation in world football is not what it was, especially around what they pay wages, etc. You're never going to be competing with Man City, even Arsenal now, Liverpool, when they run their clubs properly. And at Manchester United, you just get the sense with these leaks all the time that the player, and it would never happen in Sir Alex's day. It's with Sir Alex, he had some amazing players who didn't dare go behind his back. We've now got a bunch of bad players who are more than happy to go behind a manager's back, and we wonder why we're failing.
Mark, thanks very much indeed,
Thanks,
mate.
Mark.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.